today?
I am good. Look at you with the Southern Miss hat. Yes. My
Exactly.
husband would be so excited.
You Southern Miss?
He is from Hattiesburg, Mississippi.
Okay.
So all his
So,
family went there.
but he's an honorary member of
Yes.
Southern Miss. So I try to wear it all the time, especially like when I'm not in the South. 'Cause people are
I
like,
wear the sweatshirt and people are like, Eagle, where is that from?
exactly, like
Not around here.
what is that? Who is that? So I try to represent all the time. I hope you're
Appreciate it.
having a wonderful day. How's
I
the
am.
pandemic been to you?
You know what? I've been trying to give myself grace because it means I'm now the full-time educator of a 4-year-old. And yeah, I enjoy business life, but teaching a 4-year-old to read and write, that's what's hard for me.
So everything else is easy compared to that.
Everything else I love, I'm passionate about. That I'm like, okay, got to think of an activity, got to keep her busy, and she's smart, so
I,
she keeps me on my toes.
I think everybody's response to how are you doing is dependent on if they have kids.
Yes.
I ask somebody who doesn't have kids, they're kind of like, oh, I'm ready to get out the house, don't really know. And then you ask someone who has kids, and they're like, I need a break. It's like, help me, help me.
Exactly. How's it going for you?
CapWay is keeping me busy, so missing home, but I won't complain. But yeah, once again, thank you so much for joining us on Culture Meets Money. For everybody who has joined us, thank you. If you have questions, because I have a lot of questions actually myself, which is crazy.
Good.
If you have questions, make sure you just drop into the chat, and we'll be sure to get them answered. But introduction to myself, my name is Sheena Allen. I'm the CEO and founder of CapWay. And this is Culture Meets Money. And I would love for you to introduce yourself, who you are, and talk about Own My Own Financial.
All right. I'm Jala Eaton. I'm an optimist. I'll start with that. The founder of On My Own Financial, which is a business that I created to empower Black women to build and protect their wealth through financial literacy, estate planning, and investing.
Nice. So when did you get started?
About a year ago, I left my job and just started on my own financial. Didn't know where it was going to take me. I just knew I had this drive to educate.
The
And
true definition of taking the leap of faith.
yes, yes, I needed to be on my own to really understand, okay, what is it that we need? Where do I start? How do I give away this education that I have? And my experience has brought me here. Like I am for real prepared to be here. My first degree is in communications, which means I'm a web designer. So on my own financial, built by me. I'm a writer, so I've been blogging, writing. I'm an author. Thanks to that,
Wow.
my experience in money has led me here. I trust failed, trust falled into this profession, and I'm just so elated that it's turning into this.
Amazing. Congratulations on all of that. Oh my gosh. You have a resume in itself. That's good. So before we get into estate planning, which I think is an amazing conversation to have, especially for millennials, because we don't think of things like that. Before that, the question I've asked people during this time, because of what you do, what have you seen the most, or what question have you gotten the most during this pandemic when it comes to finances?
The first one is probably, should I be investing right now? And the second one, is this a good time to estate plan? And those are my top two. Now, given my background, I'm also a certified financial advisor, and I take the long-term investing approach. So if you're day trading, want to make quick money, I am not the one to advise you. I let everybody know you to know your source. So with me, things are low. So it's a good time to invest if you figured out what your goals are, if you know what the plan is, and you can afford to put your money in there with the potential of not getting it back or not seeing a return for 3 to 4 years. Now, if you can't, then there are other things that you can potentially do to invest your money, like creating a business for one. A lot of people are doing that. And so we just try and be real out the box creative when it comes to financial everything. And for me, it's personalized. It's all about you.
All right, I like that. All right, so let's first define what is estate planning, because I think we hear it, and most time we hear it when like somebody famous has died
Yes.
or something. So define what exactly is estate planning.
For me, estate planning is really just having a whole life plan. You're thinking about not only your demise, your legacy, but you're also thinking about right now, because the majority of estate planning documents are only good while you're alive. So a lot of people don't know that, and they're just thinking, oh, well, I got to talk about death, and I really feel like talking about my death is going to kill me, so I don't want to do it. No, financial power of attorneys and advance directives are things that you could be using now, especially in this pandemic situation. There are a lot of people shut in at home because they have pre-existing conditions. Power of attorney would allow somebody to go to the bank for you or buy a house for you, or an advance directive could potentially tell people, you know what, I don't want this procedure. Like new moms right now, they can tell their doctor, hey, I don't want an emergency C-section, and already have that written in their advance directive so that their partner doesn't have to make that decision. Um, so yeah, I every day I'm trying to spread the word about things like this.
Okay, so like I mentioned earlier, this is definitely not something that we talk about or even think of, especially as millennials. And I would use say Gen Z, because Gen Z is at 21, 22 range. But even as 35-year-olds, which is millennial, we don't talk about it or think about it. When do you suggest really getting into the depths of estate planning?
ASAP. ASAP.
No age said.
You know what? In California, the law allows you to estate plan at 18. And in Georgia, I believe the law allows you to estate plan at 14. There's a reason they do that, because if you don't do that, if you don't make your plan, they get to make the plan for you. And I don't know about you, but I worked entirely too hard for the state of California to first take their money from me and have me go to court, and then they get to decide, okay, well, we figure she must have loved this relative, let's give all the money to them.
Uh, Somebody in the comments said, wasn't taught to us because our parents didn't do it, which is true. From your experience, what are some of the other reasons that you see people just not doing it?
Just the myths. I mean, I'm not going to put it all on us. I think a lot of estate planning has been like behind a wall, because most estate planners go where the money is. And according to them, the money is with the baby boomers. So that's who they target. Versus me, who I'm like, the millennials have the greater potential to understand this and potentially teach subsequent generations. So why would you go for the ones who you're going to have to fight, who really don't want to do this, and then you're waiting till the end, towards the end of their lives, versus talking to somebody in their 20s. They get used to this process. But there's other reasons why I want us to estate plan, because I really want Black people to close the racial wealth gap. And the way we do that I see it, is estate planning. You have to have money transferring effectively and efficiently to subsequent generations.
When it comes to estate planning, so I'm getting it. Honestly, I'm learning as we go, so I'm super excited about this. The things I think that we hear the most, estate planning, I think we always think of this, that's like the rich person's like thing.
Yes.
The thing that I think we do hear about, but still we don't necessarily even also understand per se, is wills, trust. How is that into estate planning? Can you kind of explain that?
Yes. So with a will, I do recommend everybody at least have a will, and there are ways not to break the budget to do that. A will is just your instructions to the court, to the state, wherever you are, of what you want to happen. Now, a trust, on the other hand, is your directions to your trustee of what you want to happen. A trust is, it can go while you're alive. You can be trustee. And then after you're not able to, or you give it up and don't want to be trustee anymore, I can appoint you to be my trustee and carry on what I've set out to do in my trust. Now, that's not how it works with the will. They're going to probate the will after I pass away because it's only effective on my death versus the trust is life and death. And then that's why you have the stars and the celebrities. I normally show Michael Jackson's will because it's public knowledge. Everybody's going to know who you gave what, and then that creditors get noticed. It's not a private process versus a trust. Nobody ever has to know that I have a trust. Nobody ever has to really know if you're the trustee, unless like I have real estate, and that would be the only real way to know, because your name would be on the property as trustee. But it's much more flexible to have a trust, and you avoid the court system. But those are where it gets more expensive, because you are really trying to control your legacy versus leaving a legacy in a will and it's outright.
So you say it gets more expensive. Let's talk money. So we're not in our estate planning phase. We're thinking will, maybe a trust. Like, how much does all this cost? Because once again, it has been the misconception that this is only for wealthy people. So
exactly.
Let's talk about the money side to it.
So with an estate plan, obviously it's going to vary by where you are. On my own financial, the goal is to be affordable. So I literally scour, like, what are other attorneys charging for this? I want to be under them. And I want to give special perks to get you guys to, oh yeah, I know I got an estate plan every year, instead of just throwing these documents in. And then I'm budget friendly for everybody, because I even tell people, okay, this is how you do your will for free. This is a statutory form, at least in California, that you can do your will for. So I give them multiple options and just let them know, hey, the best thing to do, if you don't feel like you have it, because with me, it ranges from about $1,500 for a full trust and estate plan, which is the 4 documents that I discussed, to $3,000 for couples, which means they get, 8 documents for that. And they get to come back every year for 2 years and have me update and change, because it's very crucial that you look at these documents, see if it's still to your wishes.
And things change, life happens.
Life happens, and I've been telling everybody how crucial it is to make those changes, especially given the Kobe Bryant situation. The fact that he didn't update his trust to add his most recent daughter could mean that her and her family tree is cut out of $200 million, all because her name wasn't added to the trust within the 9 months that he had to do it. And it's just, that's a $2 million like change. Your estate planning attorney has to be on that list of people that you want to talk to. It's got to be somebody that you feel comfortable telling, this is what's happening with me. I'm getting divorced. Okay, this changes this way. Because not all states in California automatically omit your ex-husband. So they may end up getting your property.
That would be,
Exactly. But like I said, there are free ways to do it. And I want people to do these documents, so I have no problem telling people, look up what a holographic will is. It's just you writing your document. As long as you write it and you don't type anything, it has to be your handwriting. You sign and date it. Almost all the 50 states will accept that as your will.
That's a very important, I want to call it a hack, it's an important fact. So can you repeat that? Because I want to make sure people heard that.
Holographic will. All you have to do is write out your wishes in your handwriting. You can't dictate it to somebody else and have them write it. You can't type it and then sign it. It has to be all in your handwriting. You sign and date it. That is your will. That's all it takes.
Very,
free.
Very interesting.
The only thing that I would say, because I have had a client who wrote their own will, have it reviewed by an attorney. That's going to be much cheaper than having the attorney draft it, because they'll at least get to tell you, like in the case that I had, a mom was leaving everything to her daughter, and then after she did that, I give everything to, let's say, Jala Eaton, and then I want this niece to have 10,000, this niece to have that. You've given away everything, and now you're giving away what? Because you don't have anything else to give, you've given it away. So it's easy to make small mistakes like that that will send you into probate fights, and you don't want that. You don't want that
Yeah,
at all.
very interesting.
Yeah.
We have a lot of questions, but I want to ask one more question. Then I want to get into the questions. So we have had quite a few. Does it matter, or what would you tell someone? Because we talked about being as early as 14. Does it matter how many assets that you have? Does it matter? Does it not matter? Because I'm sure people think like, well, I don't have too much to offer. I don't need to create whatever.
Yep.
Does that matter?
You got to think outside the box, and that's what I tell them. Even 18 around California, I've met people who already own Bitcoin. What's going to happen to your Bitcoin when you're gone? Does your family understand what that is, or are they just going to not know, give it away, or is it just going to be lost in a lockbox? I own Disney VHSs. For some reason, I feel like those are going to be worth something invaluable. So that's one of the things that needs to be in my estate plan. Pokemon cards for a while were $100,000 for some of them. Your TikTok, your IG following, especially if you have a business on your IG, that's something you need to have a plan for. Your airline miles, people are racking those up. It's kind of fallen off now, but airline miles are something that you can put into your will. So you don't have to have
I'm
money.
So much. I'm like, wow, I have no clue of any of this.
And that's all this is. That's all On My Own Financial is. Just giving people that awareness so that they can take it back, and they're teaching others, because it's all about teaching people to fish, because then we're going to change our normal narratives. So, yeah.
All right. So we're gonna, because we try to stay 30 minutes, and I swear this time goes by, I think, quicker every time I do this. So I'm gonna jump into it. One question that you've already answered, but if you want to say anything else to it, is it expensive, to plan my estate?
It depends on how you do it. It depends on the attorney that you work with. It's going to change by where you are. I mean, California and Los Angeles in particular, where I am, very expensive. I've heard of $10,000 trusts, and I'm just like, why? Why? Why?
But I'm sure that's something that turns off, especially in the Black community. I would feel like if you told me it takes $10,000 to do X, and it's like,
no, it's not for me. It's just, I would say the same thing, and I'm going to charge. No, that's just not for me if you're going to charge me that much. But once you know the range, and even with the Legal Zooms, the Susie Ormans, I can't think, Dave Ramsey, all of them are going to have their own will and trust products, because they're forms. They're still going to say you should get this reviewed by an attorney, because the laws change. Like, everybody who has a trust drafted that maybe more than 2 years ago probably needs to have it updated, because tax laws changed.
Yeah.
And estate planning was for a long time just to avoid estate taxes, because that's 40% of the money off the top the government is going to take. But there's also other reasons to do estate planning. Really, creditors, at least with a trust, it's harder for the creditors to attack your assets versus wills. They're going to get a notice that, hey, Jala Eaton, she died and she has some money, so let's go get that. She owed us something.
Wow.
There's a lot of reasons, and it's hard because it really is just financial planning with a totally different name.
Wow. All right. Can you be a trustee for people in a different state?
You can. Most people want to be a trustee wherever the trust assets are, but you can definitely be a trustee in different states. I worked as a trustee for a bank, and they had trust all over. The Most of the time it comes down to a tax decision. So all of the taxes are going to be charged to where the trustee is for the majority of the time. So yeah.
Uh-huh. Um, which do you need if you're an adult child listed on your parents' mortgage? I guess this was when we were speaking of will, trust, and
All of the above.
all of the above.
Yeah, all of the above
So you
are
need
going to
all of
help
it.
you. Yes, because, and I really try and get people to understand why they need a full plan. Don't just do the will. My example is Nipsey Hussle. I was so proud to hear him rapping about trust in his lyrics, and knowing that we haven't heard about any issues with the Marathon store or his royalties. That lets me know that he did have that trust set up. And because, like I said, you're not going to find out if there's a trust. It's private. That's one of the reasons to do it. But you know he didn't have a full estate plan because he happened to have $2 million in a bank account that didn't have anybody else's name on it and wasn't in his trust. It would have had to be titled in the name of his trust to be a trust asset, and it wasn't. So that $2 million and his family had to go to probate court to decide what happens to it, because by law in California, it goes to his children. His children aren't old enough to inherit the money. So that means somebody's got to take care of the money. If he would have had a pour over will, which is really just a will that says everything that I own goes to my trust, wouldn't have had that issue. And
Wow.
yeah, just one sentence would have saved that process. But now they
And
have the
I'm
whole
sure that
court
gets really
battle.
messy when you probably have family members who are fighting. And maybe not in his case, from the outside looking
It
in,
was a little messy because the
but
baby mama wanted to
that's what I'm
control
gonna say.
that
I
million.
imagine like that could get super, super messy. And I know, even coming from
Yeah.
where I come from, which most of my family members are part of more of the financially underserved community, but somebody would die and it would be $10,000, and it would break up families over. So
Yes.
I can imagine 2 million.
Yes. I know families that have been in probate court fighting for 20 years and there is no end in sight. And the only people who are getting that money and benefiting are the attorneys, because in California, they get 4% statutory fees on the assets. So whenever somebody asks me how much it is to estate plan, I'm like, it's cheaper than probate. It's faster than probate. It's much more worth it. And then the state and the court fees that you're going to pay to the government, like, it's expensive to go to probate. And with a will, you are going to probate unless it's pour over and simple. But
All
yeah, it
right.
hurts.
Would you recommend POA and will forms from Office Depot as a low cost option?
As long as you understand the document, you know what powers you're trying to give, then yeah, it's all about what you understand. If you don't understand it, don't sign it, get help with it. But yeah, um, I try and give information on my Instagram, and I think it's really buried deep down. I'm gonna have to dig it out. But I help people understand what a springing power of attorney is, what a general power of attorney is, things to look for in your power of attorney, because they're flexible documents. They're not meant to be just will forms, but that's what everybody does. Whereas with me, it's going to be personalized based on what you want. Estate planning documents aren't supposed to be one size fits all. But
All
mass market, they're
right.
making money off of it, so they are.
Could you recommend whole life index insurance companies?
I stay out of the product pushing, because I like to have an unbiased, non-conflict of interest situation. So I educate people on what whole life policies are, what term life policies are, but I'm personalized. Like, I like to sit in front one by one and really talk about what your goals are before I say, yeah, I recommend that for you. Yeah, it's just too hard. I don't know how the gurus do it. Yes, all you need is a term life policy. I'm like, but that's not the case for everybody. And plus, Black America is just different. We need different products and services than you see out there.
So true. So true.
Yeah.
Um, can you have a trust without a will, or are both recommended?
Both are recommended for the Nipsey example, but one is going to be better than none. As you can see from the Prince examples, the fact of the matter is that he died 4 years ago and the beneficiaries are no closer to getting the money.
All right. Where do you recommend if your parents want to set up a trust fund? What's the average cost of setting up a trust fund?
It'll depend on the attorney that you use. And like I said, in California, I've seen them for a trust. And it's usually just a trust only, like where I told you $3,000, you're getting full plans for everybody. Everybody's protected. I've seen them be about 1,500 to 6,000, because I don't even consider that $10,000 one I heard real. Like, I really don't. And it wasn't like that was a very, very wealthy, rich person. It wasn't. It was just a mom and her family of 5 grown adults. But yeah, they were so happy when they started working with me.
This is actually a really good one. What if you don't have anyone to leave an estate to?
Do you have a pet? Do you have a favorite charity? Do you have a niece or a nephew? You don't have to think of it as, I don't have a kid. You can leave your property or your assets or your money to anybody you want to. It could be your best friend. You can select your best friend or somebody you trust to be your trustee too. I know in my case, my best friend is my trustee. That's who I selected. I have a big family. She's the one I knew was financially savvy. So,
And that was
yeah.
actually the follow-up question to that was should a trustee be a family member? So it sounds like it's kind of up to you, but it just
Yes,
doesn't have to be.
it's totally up to you. You have several options. You also, depending on how long your trust goes, because I do have people who set it up for their great, great, great grandchildren.
That's
And
generational wealth money.
so they do select maybe a trust company or a trust bank, a bank that handles trusts, just to make sure that that institution is going to be around and doesn't have to go to probate court to get another trustee selected. But that is the goal. It really is the goal, because I sat in a bank working as a trust administrator, looking at 400 to 500 accounts, all with at least few million in there. The highest was about $100 million, and it's just, it never looked like us. The people who own them, the people who were beneficiaries of them, they never look like us, and they're out here just going around thriving, not appreciative. Usually.
So somebody said, I have a will, which I had done by the military,
I know about that
but
life.
they do not do the full estate planning. So what's your recommendation, I guess, but I think it was a question, but they do not do full estate planning. So question mark.
I remember. I do have to shout out to the Navy JAG Corps, because they did, when my husband was deploying, draft a financial power of attorney and a will for him before I knew what that was. And I actually bought a house while he was gone using those documents. But I would definitely recommend that you find an estate planning attorney that you like. With military, it's kind of hard because we're all over the place. Maybe in your home state or wherever you have property or feel comfortable and really reside, and then have them draft a full estate plan for you. They can also look at your current will and make sure that it's good, that it still applies, or you need to update, and give you those pointers.
I actually didn't realize that I turned my thing upside down.
Yeah, I think we lost you.
Now, how do I turn it back around? I should know this.
I think there's a little button in the
It
corner.
is. I got it.
Yes.
As a matter of fact, I don't even remember touching the button up there. I'm not quite sure how it got
You
there.
see, I'm hands off. I don't want to be near this, this
Um,
camera.
so I'm gonna ask one more, and then a lot of people have actually asked how do they actually
Wow.
get to somebody or work with you. So I want to give you time to get the information out.
I'm trying to collect Black estate planning attorneys. I promise y'all. So I have somebody to refer you to. I do have one in Florida and one in Georgia if y'all have a need there, and then a few on the West Coast. So I'm collecting them.
The last question I'll ask is, can you have more than one trustee in case one passes away or becomes mentally unavailable?
You should. You should always at least have two, a successor trustee. And in the documents, they will usually say, this is who's going to be the trustee after you selected them. Because it is possible that the person you pick, they just don't want to do it. They actually have to accept the appointment. And some people are like, this is a job, because it is, and I don't want that. So you do want to be proactive and name somebody else. It might be even good to think of a pool of people. So like some people say, you select a trustee from my grandchildren or from my children, just so you have multiple people. And then worst case scenario, they select somebody who is a trustee for either a fiduciary trustee who is independent, this is all they do, or works for an institution as a trustee. But yeah, you got options.
All right, so this is we always end the Culture Meets Money with the same, what's it, it's a question, I guess. Technically it's a question. You have to leave us with a hack.
Oh, okay. I'll keep it estate planning hack. And I think that really is to create your own will, because
That
everybody
was a
who can
good one.
write
That was
is
a really good one.
capable of creating your own will. The advance directive, because that's a big thing right now. If you know that you want to donate your organs, if you know that you want to be on life support and be that case that comes back in 17 years, most hospitals and doctors' offices will have the advance directive forms that you can fill out and put on file so that they know, okay, this person is DNR, they're ready to go if that happens, or no, let them go. We're going to see them in 17 years. So that's my advice for that.
All right. Well, before we let you go, one, people have been asking either could you recommend somebody, how do they get into contact you? So definitely give out your information, how people can come to you to get introduced to somebody else, if you can help them out. Yeah, put it all out there so they can know.
All right. Well, I'm here every day on Instagram. It's my favorite place to be because it's comfortable, it's relaxing, and it lets me be me. But you can also find me on Facebook, on Twitter, on LinkedIn. I'm trying to be on LinkedIn. It's just a little too professional for me. I'm a CapWay contributor, so feel free to check out those articles. I have my own blog. I'm on Medium, so visit me on my own financial or Jala Eaton. Most things can be found by just Googling my name. And reach out, have conversations. I do post every day, hoping that you guys are going to learn something and be inspired, motivated, because we can do this. We just need the knowledge and education. So,
Yes, and
thank you
she
guys.
is tagged on the flyer on CapWay's Instagram page. So if you're trying to
Yes.
easily find her, she's tagged within the caption on CapWay's page. So
Everything on my
reach out.
own financial, everything.
All right.
I try
Thank
and brand.
thank you so much. This has been amazing. I
Thank
I
you.
learned a lot myself. I cannot wait to get this information up on CapWay. But this absolutely amazing. So once again, thank you so much.
No,
And I
thank
hope you have
you.
a wonderful rest of your day.
Yes, you too. Thank you so much for being an inspiration to On My Own Financial. Thank
No
you.
problem. You drop gems real gems. I much even the comments are like, thank you for the gems. Thank you.
I appreciate you guys.
So, thanks so much. Thank you everybody who checked us out today. Thanks.
Thank you.